For the first time since 2019, Australians have turned out in their thousands for Anzac Day services around the country as we mark the 107th anniversary of the landing at Gallipoli. The day's events began in the rain at Sydney's Martin Place Cenotaph, where the crowd was reminded that this year is also the 80th anniversary of the bombing of Darwin, the Kokoda campaign and the fall of Singapore. 60 years since the Vietnam War and the first Anzac Day since Australia's withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Locals have flocked to Brisbane's dawn service, spilling out from balconies in Anzac Square in Canberra, and has also hosted a haunting service as dawn broke over the National War Memorial. There have also been huge crowds at Melbourne's Shrine of Remembrance. We'll be taking you to other parts of the country throughout the program where locals across the generations have gathered to pay their respects.
And let's have a look at Adelaide this morning. Right across Australia, the crowds turned out. Having not been able to gather for 3 years, the numbers were high. Let's also show you Darwin, where the Prime Minister was attending. He had been campaigning, of course, but campaign events are paused on Anzac Day. He spoke to the crowd there. We'll give you the details a little bit later. Let's head straight to our reporters, Isaac Naruzzi in Canberra, Cayman Gock in Sydney and Michael Rennie in Brisbane. Isaac, I want to start with you. You're there at the National War Memorial, and it is the first time, as we've mentioned, that crowds have been able to attend ceremonies like this since 2019. So how did it go?
Good morning. Well, it went really well. They were expecting crowds of about 5,000 and they got 18,200, so quite decent numbers, and it started to feel like a bit more normal. I've been living in Canberra my whole life and coming to a few of these services, and this is definitely the closest to normal that it's felt in quite some time, particularly last year when numbers were capped to 4,500. We spoke to several people on the ground as well who were very, very happy to be back. They were paying tribute in their living rooms last year, and this year they finally got to come back, so that was really, really nice. We heard the commemorative address from Michael Ruffin, who was a veteran of Borneo and Vietnam. He paid tribute to those serving past and present, and also told some stories about his personal experience, some of which was quite daunting but really interesting to listen to as well. And coming up shortly, which we'll bring you live pictures of, we've got the Indigenous service as well as a Veterans March. So still plenty happening here in Canberra.
Oh, thanks, Isaac. Let's go to Michael Rennie, who's in Brisbane. What was the service like there?
Oh, Lisa, it was a very moving service here, and thousands of people showed up. It was actually quite surreal in some ways, standing in that crowd, and everyone's very silent and just, paying attention to what people were saying up on the stage. There were some moving speeches as well, particularly one from the Governor of Queensland, Dr. Jeanette Young. She spoke about her own family history in Australia's armed services, and also spoke about mental health and the improvements in treating mental health, and how far they have come and how much further they have to go as well. So this is just really the beginning of what will be happening throughout the city throughout the day. I did catch up with a couple of people down here this morning who were at this morning's dawn service. Here's what they had to say.
It was really good. It was emotional. The last post, I'm not a very emotional dude, but the last post got me a little bit there.
It's really so good to stop our busy lives and remember and reflect on, I suppose, what the Anzacs really gave for our country, and not only the Anzacs but all the men and women who have fought for our country.
So we've got the Anzac Day March starting off later on this morning. Lisa, at the moment, the rain is holding off. We've had some showers come through this morning, and looks like there's a little bit more on the way as well. All
right, thanks, Michael. And Cayman Gock in Sydney, the rain was present, very much so this morning. How did that affect, if at all, the commemorations?
Good morning, Lisa. The weather didn't deter thousands of people attending the dawn service this morning here at Martin Place, and thankfully the showers disappeared about 15 minutes into what was quite a solemn service and quite moving speeches. We heard from honoured guests and dignitaries who laid wreaths and also talked about the Anzac spirit of courage, mateship and that never give up attitude. People also spoke to the fact that Australians bring out the best in one another in times of adversity and hardship, whether that be war, a pandemic or the most recent natural disasters that we've seen. Now, after the formalities, the cenotaph behind me opened up to the general public, where hundreds of people paid their respects to fallen soldiers and current servicemen, as well as some of them brought their own flowers and wreaths, which they laid behind me. Now, in a couple hours' time, the Anzac Day March will take part just up the road, and it's expected about 30 bands will volunteer their services, as well as up to 10,000 former and current servicemen will march along Martin Place, 107 years on from when those Anzacs were wading through the shore of Gallipoli.
Cayman, thank you, and Isaac and Michael as well for bringing us up to speed on the morning's events.